Today I'm going to talk about the customization for your character divisions in Call of Duty World War II. They get in depth about all this sort of stuff. Let me just get straight to it. I picked the Expeditionary. This is one of my favorite ones right here because you start with a shotgun, and of course the combat shotgun is solid. And I have gameplay of it that I will most likely upload later on, just featuring the combat shotgun and its immense range. So I'll talk about that later, but other than that, this wonderful division right here gives you some amazing effects straight off the get-go. If you're just to pay attention to my character right here, you'll notice underneath my bazooka that I have 2 frag grenades and 2 tactical grenades. So, that being said, I already have 1 edge over my competition, and this is starting, like, base stats. I'm still division level 1, I haven't gotten to level 2, so there's still unlocks to get. Well, my next unlock is munitions replenished from killed enemies and over time, so can be very useful if you're a campy or a rushing kind of player, depending on your style. I really enjoyed this over some of the others, and of course you have these different categories. You don't start with every single one available, but what I can say is some of the variants that you get here are very interesting. They try to be historically accurate. They don't try to be 100% accurate though, that would be painstaking. But when I say they try, they have tried their best. I mean, compared to Call of Duty World at War, there's a lot more variety in what you get to see in this game. And I can honestly say that some of these are very interesting just to look at, even though I don't have any of them unlocked. I really do like this. It's a lot more complex than Black Ops 1, and just being able to look at your different team and what your outfit will be based on that team. That was it. But of course you can look at some of these other examples, but you have the default classes here, like Axis Forces, for example. They just added that into the game with one of the last updates. I'm not sure which one. But what I can say about it is you know what character you use when you're playing on Axis, and you can definitely choose what your allied character is. And they look almost the same here. Forgive me, but I need to change my perk before I show you the next division. So going on to Airborne, here we go. Airborne, I've already unlocked 1 variant here, and it's the US Pilot, as you can see right here. I'm not going to go into detail about every single one, but I will at least show you what the different base variant of their uniform will be, because it just changes color most of the time. Sometimes aesthetically it changes, whether their outfit is frostbitten or simply clean or dirty even. And of course, each uniform has its own design because each one is supposed to be some different faction. And of course there's the Axis one right there. Now I'm going to get into a little bit more detail about the division levels and everything. This Airborne one is very fun because even though you don't get any extra grenades, and you don't get the same kind of boost that you did with the other one, I'll show you right here. You get fire guns while sprinting and diving straight off the bat, and then you get reloading while sprinting, which is something that no other division has unless you get a perk that allows you to get that. And when I say perk, let me show you what I mean. It's a basic training. They've taken perks out of this game basically, but they reinstituted them in basic training, so don't feel left out if you don't recognize it. It's there for your benefit. And of course, I'm just going to show off this outfit a little bit more. They really go into detail with the character model, and it's not cheap. They've put some very good graphic points into this, and I I can honestly say I can't wait to unlock this division again because you climb over obstacles faster and no falling damage. So, let's take a look at all of this again. Climb over obstacles faster and no falling damage. Sprint faster over time. So, they have kind of considered something about newer games. And I'd like to address that sprinting may be somewhat better than when I first played this game, but now with this class being able to sprint faster over time, if you stay alive and you're on your kill streak, you might be able to outrun someone with a melee weapon right behind you if you're lucky. And when I say lucky, I mean you've got good aim, or you know the map better than they do. So let's move on. The armored division, it automatically gives you significantly less explosive and fire damage. So if someone tries to blow you up, you're more likely to survive that blast. And of course, with the expeditionary, you can get an incendiary shotgun round, something akin to dragon fire, as I like to call it. And I know it's not necessarily called that in the game, but incendiary rounds are amazing. But this class is supposed to be like a counter to that, in one way or another, defensively speaking. So, the next effect that you get when you progress is immune to shell shock. Ugh, tongue tie. And tactical equipment. So, stun grenades won't affect you as much, gas grenades won't affect you as much. The flares will be a little bit less bright on your screen, possibly, and so on. So, the greatly reduced flinch when shot is something that I miss from Black Ops 2 because they had a perk in that game that allowed you to take less flinch, and you could equip that perk to any class, so that was just incredible. But they brought it back in this one, so again, if you're fighting against a shotgun and you use an LMG and you level this up all the way, you're not going to flinch as much and your bullets will connect. So kudos. On to Mountain. Mountain Division, based around sniping, long range, undercover, covert operation kind of thing. They start off with the base ability to be invisible to enemy recon aircraft and controlled streaks. So it's like UAV Jammer in Modern Warfare, or Cold-Blooded in Modern Warfare 2. So I can actually point those out right away. But the next effect is something kind of like how it was in Ghosts. Killed enemy death locations hidden. They definitely had a perk specifically for that in Ghosts. And even in Advanced Warfare, I think there was something like that as well. Or, no, I take that back. It was Black Ops 3. You know, sometimes those games where you're double jumping everywhere, you it all goes into one blur in my mind. But I actually liked Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3, so it's a very large blur for me, if you get my meaning. Next on the list for this is no name or reticle change when enemies aim at you. So if you're trying to pretend you're a dead body, as long as your character doesn't move too much, you can act like a corpse. Then of course silent moving has come back into this game. There's a perk, or I should say a basic training skill for that as well. But this character right here with the Mountain Division, when you level up to level 4, has silent movement. So Ninja Pro right there. Or Dead Silence if you prefer. Either way. Back to this, I forgot to mention a few things about it, but munitions replenished from killed enemies over time is the last point that I made, and I'm sorry I forgot about that. Improved tacticals and easier to destroy war buildables. So if you played the game of War, which has its own map and its own gameplay perspectives, I could probably get into a whole series on that, but let's just break it down. Your tacticals are easier to destroy war buildables. So if you build a barricade and you toss some C4 on it, you won't have to use as many C4 to blow up that wall or barricade or possibly even an MG nest. So that being said, it's very useful. You don't have to use a shotgun on this division, but if you do, I mean, you'll benefit greatly. And that's number 3. Number 4 is equipment damage paints enemies on the minimap. So if you already know, and I'm just going to show it to you on the screen right now, there's a basic training skill called espionage, which does exactly that. Plus, apparently the bonus reveals enemy score streaks on minimap. So, that being said, if you were to equip that with this, your bullets will paint the enemy on the map for a slightly longer duration, and you'll be able to see the enemy score streaks without having to walk straight up to them. So, that being said, this is very good class if you don't like people camping. Because even if you get killed by them, as long as you have painted them on the map with your bullets, then you can track them down and get revenge. And that's what this division's all about sometimes. Especially with those incendiary rounds, you'd think that they couldn't make Dragon's Breath into the game, but they did it. And I'm really proud of them because that's historically accurate in some way or another. Now let's get on to the infantry. I know I'm kind of skipping around here, but this is not my favorite division. Even though you just saw, like, you get an additional attachment. If you don't have any attachments, it's worthless. But that being said, I'll show you why it is useful, because you don't have to use an assault rifle at all. I'm going to put my PPSH right here with the Thrive 2. As I've said in my previous videos, it is delicious, very shiny. First thing I got out of supply drop, and I probably should stop saying that so much. If you happen to have 4 attachments, and you're using the infantry division, you may put all of them on the gun. So, if you've never done that before, I'm just giving you a tip right here for free. I really enjoy this. You can definitely enjoy your divisions in this game, because no matter what division you're using, they always have a good ability. And that's coming straight from the choir. So, let's move on. The next thing in this wonderful perk tree is second pistol attachment and swap weapons faster. So, let me just break it down. If you had a pistol, which I do have a pistol here, and I don't know, it was the machine pistol, which I don't have unlocked yet, I know, but I know it's full auto. I picked it up. There is a perk in this game that allows you to get dual wield. So let's say you got this machine pistol right here. I know this is not the machine pistol, but for instance, and then you put the extended mags on it. And I'm still talking about a dual wield version of the machine pistols here. All you'd have to do is add something like steady aim as your second attachment, and you're a beast. This game wants you to be powerful, and I like that. Because unlike some of the other Call of Duty games, they nerf all the weapons. Like Black Ops 3 nerfs its base guns more often than it does the new weapons. And when they do nerf the new weapons, it's right when another new weapon has just come out, and it ruins the whole fluidity of the game. Whereas in this game, even though they may nerf the weapons, at least you can still have enough attachments to bring it back up to what it was before they knocked it down. And that's good enough for me. So, that's one difference between this Call of Duty and some of the previous ones. Even though they do combine a lot of the same things from them, principally speaking, that is not the case, because they have all sorts of different ways that you can combine these into a powerful class. And it's not just about being outclassed, it's about being outmaneuvered in this game. So let's continue. While aiming down the sights, you have less idle sway. So let's say you have a sniper rifle. This is already really awesome if you have 4 attachments. And then, of course, you have your pistols. They can be really well equipped here. And since you'd have less idle sway down your scope, you might be able to quickscope if